Nobody has ever asked to see my degree, not once, because I don't actually have one. And I've been working in data analytics for years now, real jobs, real title, real paycheck. These are full-time gigs, not any contract roles. Because the honest answer is yes, I am physical proof of it, but not for the reasons most people tell you. The degree was never actually the barrier. It was standing in for 3 specific things. And if you don't replace all 3, no degree will actually hold you back, just not how you think. So stick around to the 3rd one because that's where almost everybody quits. Do I need a degree is unanswerable and useless. The real question is what the degree was a proxy for. So if you go search this exact question and you'll get 2 camps yelling at each other. One camp says you absolutely do need a degree and anyone telling you otherwise is selling you something. While the other camp says that degrees are worthless, college is a scam, just learn to code. And here's the actual problem. Both of those answers are useless to you because neither one tells you exactly what to do on Monday morning. So let's throw this whole question out the window and replace it with a better one. A hiring manager is not sitting there thinking, oh, I require a bachelor degree. That's not the thought that's in their head. The thought that's actually in their head is, I need somebody who won't waste my time and won't embarrass me in front of my boss when I go present something, or when they go present something. That's the actual fear they're hiring against. The degree was just a cheap, lazy shortcut for guessing whether you clear that bar or not. So really think about what that degree signals for them. It says that this person can start something hard and finish it. It says somebody already vetted them. It says that they've been in rooms with deadlines. Those are just things that diplomas actually happen to prove. So that moment that I actually realized all of this was when I started getting interviews for my very first data job. And I had interview after interview where I did not put my degree on my resume and it never got brought up in the conversation. Not the 3rd round, not the 2nd, not the 1st. It just literally never came up after about over 10 interviews. Now I could already hear the objection here from a lot of people. But Ian, half the job postings literally say degree required. Yeah, you are right, they do. But hold that thought because there's a real answer and I'll get to it. But for now, let's sit with the reframe. The question isn't, do I need a degree? It's what was the degree doing for people and how do I do that for myself? And it comes down to 3 things, only 3. So thing 1 is proof. This is evidence you can actually do the work and not just claim you can in an interview. Thing 2 is structure. So somebody handing you the order, what to learn in what sequence, and how you know when you're actually done. So thing 3, which is network. And a network can be career centers, professors, alumni, a graduating class full of people who get hired and then pull each other in behind them. That's the whole thing, proof, structure, and network. That's what a 4-year college degree in a pile of money actually buys you. And here's a part nobody says out loud. The degree grad doesn't earn those things. That's actually included in the package. They didn't go find structure. It was handed to them in a syllabus. They didn't go build a network. It was assigned to them in their cohort. So when you don't have a degree, you're not actually missing just the piece of paper. You're missing those 3 things the paper came bundled with. And that's good news because every single one of those can be built on purpose without setting foot on campus. But here's why most no degree people will still fail. It's almost never because they're less capable. And I want to be very clear about this. It's not intelligence and it's not aptitude. It's that they maybe replace one of the 3. Usually they grind hard on proof, they ignore the other 2, and then wonder why nothing is happening. They built the skills, they built the projects, and they're still invisible because they solved 1/3 of the problem and hoped that the rest would sort out itself. One of the biggest pieces that were missing for me when I first started was the structure aspect of these 3 pieces. I didn't know what to do next. I started with Python thinking that that was the best way forward, when in reality, that ate up probably 8 months to 10 months of learning Python alone before I started learning actual data analytics tools that actually made more sense for the day-to-day job or getting into that entry-level position. So let's go through all 3 of these in the order that actually works and the order that matters more than speed itself. So proof first, and proof does not mean a certificate. I need to be very blunt here. A certificate proves you've watched something. It proves that you sat through the video and passed a quiz somebody else wrote. That's not proof you can do the job. Real proof means that you took a messy, undefined question and answered it with data. And you can explain why the answer mattered to a normal human being. One real project you can talk about for 10 straight minutes beats 5 certificates every single time. It's not even a close race. And notice what that's really testing here. It's not testing whether you know the fanciest tool. Nobody is grading your color palette on your dashboard design. They want to know one thing. Can you take this chaos and turn it into a decision? Now, the objection I get all the time is that I don't have any data to work with. Well, yes, you do. You have more data than you think. Pick anything you actually care about here. Your budget, your workouts, your fantasy league, it doesn't really matter. Go pick a public data set, for crying out loud, about a topic you'd argue about over dinner. Now, in all honesty, the subject doesn't really matter. What matters is that you asked a real question and chased it down to really figure it out, and that's the proof. Now, the proof that I actually worked on myself, where I had most confidence talking through, was a data set that I built myself 100%. This was pre-AI era. So I was just fascinated on building a project or building proof that no one's ever done before. So I did extraterrestrial aliens and built a data set around that and just did some funny things through it. So when someone looked at my proof, it's the first time they've ever seen that data set. It's the first time they've ever seen that dashboard or project. And it really makes a difference because that stands out so much more than some random data set or proof that you found and did something against, where they've probably seen this 10 times in the last 3 days. Now let's talk about the second thing, the structure. And this is the one thing that quietly kills most people. Because without structure, you'll learn in a loop. You'll do some SQL one day, then someone says, go learn Python, so you start Python. And then a comment says, you need to learn Power BI, so you go pivot again. And then 3 months later, you're so busy and you're tired and you've been working the whole time and you can't even point to a single thing you finished. And then you start to think that you're the actual problem, like maybe you can't do this. And then you think you lack the discipline, but you don't. That's not the discipline problem. It's a sequence problem that you just learned it in the wrong order. You never had someone tell you what comes next. So every shiny new tool kind of felt like progress, and every restart felt like an effort. Motion without direction. So structure is just someone removing that decision loop. So you learn this, and then you learn this, and then this. So stop asking what's next and follow this order. So structure still isn't that thing that stops most people cold. The next one is. And this one being networking. And this is where almost everybody quits. Not because it's hard, but because it feels gross and because it's the only thing out of those 3 things that you can't grind out in the middle of the night in front of your own laptop. Here's a reframe that fixes that. You don't need a career center or a 400 alumni. You need 3 people in data who know your name and know what you're actually working on. 3, that's what replaces the whole networking machine a university hands you. And it's not cold DMs asking for a job. It's commenting on their posts on LinkedIn, sharing what you're building a name that actually shows up consistently over time. So you start to become familiar, top of mind, and not desperate. So if you do that, and eventually one of those people hears about a role that's open, and your name is one that comes to mind, that's the entire game of networking. Now, if you build all 3, you will still hit a wall in a specific place. So let's be honest about that, because pretending it doesn't exist helps nobody. Now, I'm not going to sit here and pretend that a degree never matters. It does, in exactly one place, and I'd be lying if I skipped it. And it lies in big companies, the ones with the applicant tracking system, or ATS, that auto-filters resumes before a single human being ever looks at it. So if a posting you're looking at says degree required, and you're applying cold through the online portal, and you might genuinely get filtered out before anyone reads one word that you wrote on that resume. Now that part is super real, and I won't pretend otherwise, but watch how narrow that actually is. So let's take a look at these 2 postings side by side, with the first one saying that it's a requirement that they have a bachelor's degree. Now this second one over here says a bachelor degree or equivalent combination of education and relevant work experience. Now this is your door. And once you start reading these postings a lot more closely, you'll see that most of these phrasings are happening over and over and over. And most people never notice it's all there. So they self-reject from the jobs that were open to them. And here's the part that changes the entire math. A referral skips the filter completely. That auto filter only exists the cold path. You, a stranger, dropping a resume into a portal with 10,000 other people. When someone on the inside actually refers you, you don't go through that door. You walk right into the side entrance, and a human reads your resume on purpose. That is exactly why the networking piece matters so much when you don't have the paper. It's not a nice to have, it's how you route around the one real wall. So no, do not spend a year throwing cold applications at companies that won't even have you. Spend that same exact energy on the doors that are already open and on the people who actually can walk you through them. Which brings me to the thing that's genuinely different about doing all of this in 2026. So I actually made a video about this back in 2024. Some of it actually still holds up to date, but some of it doesn't. And I want to be honest about which. So what changed is AI. And it cuts both ways. So let's take both. The good news first is you have a tutor now. So every time you get stuck on a query at 11 at night, and you are no longer stuck for 3 days waiting on a forum reply or on Stack Overflow. So that barrier, that one that used to make self-teaching so brutal, is basically gone now. You don't have to wait anymore. So learning the technical skills has never been more accessible to anyone out there. That generally helps you out. Now, some of the bad news here. Everybody else has the same tutor. Now, this is not something that makes you different. It's the baseline for everyone else applying to that job, which means the bar is actually moved. It used to be the proof that I can write a query. Now, that was enough to stand out. Now the proof is I know which questions I need to ask, and I can explain why the business should care about this answer. So AI has collapsed that easy part and left the human part standing there exposed. The judgment, the communication, the knowing what actually matters, that domain experience. So those three things that I gave you, the proof, the structure, the network, they matter more now, not less. And AI didn't replace them, it made them the whole game. And here's the one thing that nobody can AI their way out of. Knowing what to actually do next, in what order, so you're not learning in that loop that we talked about earlier. Now that's the whole reason I built Analyst Hive as a 90-day sequence instead of another course. It's the structure piece that hands you a day-to-day action items, so you're not the one guessing what comes next. So if that structure part of knowing what to do next is something that you need to help you learn and get into data, I'll leave a link in the description below. But whether you use that to build your own path, here's the bigger point. You don't need more information. You've had access to it all this entire time. You need it in the exact order. So let me bring this all the way back around. You don't need a degree to become a data analyst. I'm the proof, and I promise you I'm not special. The degree was only buying those three things, the proof, the structure, and the network. Nobody actually hands you those when you skip college, so you have to build them out yourself. Proof first, structure second, and networking being third. The only place the missing paper truly blocks you is that cold application filter. And with a proper referral, you could walk right past that. And AI didn't make it easier. It made it the boring part even easier and raised the bar on the part that actually counts for businesses. So stop trying to prove that you don't need a degree. Just go build what that was standing in for. So let's be honest, or be honest with me in the comments. Which of the three are you actually missing? Are you actually missing the proof, the structure, or the network? I'd bet real money it's the third one. I make videos about the gap between learning data and actually getting hired. So if that's where you're stuck right now, go ahead and subscribe. And I'll see you in the next one.